All right, welcome. I put the code for the Pear Deck in the chat, so if you could go ahead and join the Pear Deck, and then your instructions are on the first slide. All right, I see in the daily check-in, Dan, you made districts for track. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, and homework was not too bad last night. Good. All right, I'm seeing that the warm-up is done, daily check-in is done, so let's go ahead and get started for today. All right, so the warm-up asked you about factors of 15. What does that word factor mean?
Should I answer?
Uh-huh. Terry, what does the word factor mean?
Numbers multiplied together.
Perfect. So in the warm-up today, how did you know what the factors of 15 were?
1 times 15 equals 15, and 3 times 5 equals 15.
Exactly. So we're going to be using factors of certain numbers in order to factor polynomials. So just like we can break 15 down into 1 and 5, 1 and 15, 3 and 5, we can factor polynomials. So a polynomial it's just an expression, right? So like an example down here, x squared plus 6x plus 8. We're going to learn to factor a trinomial like this. And when you factor it, if you remember from yesterday, when you multiply two binomials, so like x plus 1 and x plus 4, you would get a trinomial like this. So this is the opposite of foiling. So think about the things we did yesterday. We're just going to try and undo it. It's like the opposite. All right, so when you factor, we want to use the box method. So we can assign letters to the coefficients of our variables. So the coefficient of our x squared term, that's what we call A. The coefficient of our x term, that's what we call B. And then the the constant that doesn't have any variable on it, that's what we call C. So in our example here, x squared plus 6x plus 8, Dan, what would our A value be?
6. Or no, 1.
Yeah, it'd be 1, right? Because this one's a little tricky, right? Because there's not a number written in front of here, but you've got to remember 1 is like our invisible coefficient. So that's a 1. Dave, what would our B value be in this expression?
That would be 6.
That would be 6. It's attached to the x term. Perfect. And Terry, what would your constant be? The one that doesn't have any variable.
8.
That would be 8, exactly. So when those are things to keep in mind when you're factoring. So when we're using the box method, you're going to draw a 2x2 box. You're going to take your first term and put it in the top left box, so the x squared here. And then you're going to take the constant and you're going to put it in the bottom right box here. And you're looking for two numbers that when you multiply them together, you get 8, and when you add, you get 6. So if you could answer that question in the Pear Deck. So see if you can figure out two numbers that multiply to 8 and add to 6. So think about numbers, the multiples of 8. Awesome. So it looks like we've got a 4 and a 2. Oops. So we put our terms there. We've got our x's on top here because x times x gives you x squared. So we got some responses. 4 times 2 will multiply to 8. 4 plus 2 will give you 6. So those numbers are going to go here. Those are going to be part of our final answer. So when you're using the box method, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to multiply and combine like terms and make sure that you get that original expression. So x times x gives us x squared. 4 times x is 4x. X times 2, 2x. 2 times 4 is 8. If we combine our like terms here, we would have x squared plus 6x plus 8, which is exactly what we wanted. So on the outside of our box, that's where our factors come from. So on the top, we have an x and a positive 4. So our first factor is x plus 4. On the left side, we have an x and a positive 2. So our second term is x plus 2. So in the future, if I would ask you to factor something like x squared plus 6x plus 8, your answer will look something like this. It'll be two binomials. Eventually, we will factor when the coefficient isn't 1, but for right now, we're just going to do these kind of basic cases. All right, so after the lesson, tell me how you're feeling. You can drag that dot to keep going, I understand. I'm a little confused, or stop, I need help. All right, looking like we're feeling good about factoring. Awesome. So before we practice factoring, let's go ahead and take a brain break. Actually, let's just go around. Dave, do you want to do categories or Blockbuster for a brain break today?
Blockbuster.
Cool. Terry, what do you want to do?
Blockbuster.
Dan, what do you want to do?
Blockbuster.
Blockbuster wins. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of basic just blocks with colors that correspond to certain characters. It might be characters from TV shows, might be characters from movies. And go ahead in the chat on Microsoft Teams, you're going to type in your answer. So when I show it on the Pear Deck, type your answer in the chat on Microsoft Teams, and whoever gets it first will get an extra credit point. Questions on the brain break? All right, let's do it. Type it in the chat for an extra credit point. SpongeBob! Dan is our winner. So we got SpongeBob, extra credit point for you. Got Patrick, Squidward, and SpongeBob there. All right, next one. What about this one? Some people in my last class said South Park. That's silly. All right, Dan, 2 for 2. Beauty and the Beast. Nice.
Hey.
There's Belle and the Beast. All right, last one. Then we got to get back to factoring. What is this one? This one has a lot of characters. Make sure you pay attention. No, good guess. Right time. Hey Arnold is correct. You big football head. There he is right in the middle. Awesome. All right. So that's our little brain break for today. There's Hey Arnold hanging out on the stoop. All right. So to end the class, you're going to practice these factoring problems in your class kick. And as you're working, if you have questions, just put it in the chat and I'll kind of be around and answer your questions.